speaking of low expectations, I thought my expectations for Ty Gibbs and this Jesus guy that people rave about were low, but wow, I didn't know they were that low.
See, I wasn't surprised.
My brother in Christ.
Apparently, my brother Christ. This is exactly what I expected Ty Gibbs to do. It's like like when it happened, I was like, "Yep, there it is."
I mean, all right. Let's preface this for anyone who, for some reason, didn't watch or hasn't heard. Ty Gibbs, Brandon Jones going for the win in the Xfinity race. Brandon Jones, obviously a must-win situation. Ty Gibbs, virtually a lock, and then did lock himself in due to stage points in the closing laps of the Xfinity race. Ty and Brandon, they traded the lead back and forth, bumping each other out of the way, Martinsville racing. And then the last restart happens, and Ty Gibbs cleans him the fuck out. I mean, lifts his back tires off the ground, sends him in the turn one, backs into the fence. A mirror image of Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott in 2017. And I mean, like you said, I expect this from Ty Gibbs, but also I couldn't believe he did it. I still can't believe he did it. He wrecked that man, Seth. He wrecked that man.
Despite it being the least surprising thing that happens, it's definitely the most disappointing thing I've ever seen someone do.
We watched this race, and then I had my Halloween party. Seth and I were probably still drunk from the night before and going on like 3 hours of sleep. First thing I said to him when I woke up in the morning, I'm like, wow, Ty Gibbs really did wreck that guy.
Yeah, he really did. Here's the thing. In a vacuum, that's a disappointing thing to see out of a race car driver, especially great timing.
In a vacuum?
In a vacuum. In a vacuum, not a vacuum cleaner.
Oh, okay. He cleaned him out.
Yeah, he did. Anyway, by itself, the act itself is disappointing enough.
Yeah.
But you combine that with the fact that it was a teammate, you were already locked in, and he needed to win that race.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most disappointing thing I've ever seen someone do in a race car.
Dude, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that move was not in Joe Gibbs' game plan for life booklet that he hands out to everyone. I don't think it is.
I've got one over here somewhere.
All right, I definitely haven't read it, but we need to read that. We'll do a reading of that. That would be an off-season thing.
That might be pretty fun, actually.
Yeah.
Or we get canceled. I'm not sure which, but fuck it at this point.
All 14 of our listeners will surely be disappointing. By the way, thank you for all 14 or however many listeners we have. We appreciate all of you. I mean, here's my issue. Here's my issue with the whole thing. Like you just said, it didn't make any sense why he did it. I mean, other than the fact that, he moved me earlier, or I mean, dude, you got to think Toyota. He gypped Toyota out of a shot to win the Xfinity title. Now, instead of 50% chance of winning that title, now it's 25 and arguably less.
I would argue less, yeah.
How much money has Brandon Jones brought to Joe Gibbs Racing?
I would assume a lot.
A whole fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
It's the only reason he's in that car. You just said none of that money matters to you and your grandfather's team. And I mean, the guys back at the shop, your grandfather owns the company, right? You got to walk in that building. It's not just Brandon Jones, because we all know Brandon Jones put in his 2 weeks notice. He's not coming back next year. He's going to JRM. But it's way deeper than that. There's a whole group of guys on that 19 car that work day in and day out to build those cars, and that work for your grandfather that you just said, fuck you to, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem I have with it. I mean, it's easy to say, I'd have a problem with him wrecking the guy on purpose and, it being his teammate. But you gotta you got to think about that too. Like that was just a no good, sorry, dirty move. And you can't, and he wants to say he did it. He didn't do it on purpose. He just meant to move him. There's an art to moving a guy. We've seen it. That's the thing. People will say, well, we wouldn't have a problem when Earnhardt did it, because Earnhardt hardly ever actually wrecked guys. He was precise about moving guys, but he hardly ever wrecked anyone. Forget that time he wrecked Terry Labonte.
And by the way, he got booed for that hard too.
Yeah, he did. And Earnhardt got out of the car and was like, I didn't mean to wreck him. I just meant to rattle his cage a little bit. And he showed as much remorse as Dale Earnhardt can maybe show in that moment. Ty Gibbs showed no remorse. He didn't mean to wreck the guy, but he did a burnout that blew his back rear tires out and got out of the car and did the Kyle Busch wave to the crowd because they're booing him. And, I mean, had this big old celebration on the front stretch. That's not the celebration of a guy who's like, damn, I feel really bad that I just wrecked my teammate.
Yeah.
That's the celebration of a kid who, my grandfather owns a company. I can do what the fuck I want.
Let's compare and contrast. It's not the same exactly, but let's compare and contrast the way Alex Bowman reacted after last year when he won Martinsville after getting into Denny Hamlin, and the way Ty Gibbs reacted here.
Yeah, people gave him shit for doing a burnout too.
Well, he didn't.
And he got out of the who, Alex? He kind of did a little bit.
He might have tried to, but
yeah,
he still got out and he was like, I really don't like to race that way. And obviously it's different because you can clearly tell it wasn't not intentional.
And it wasn't a teammate. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point still stands is he was still, you could hear remorse. He did not mean to do that. He didn't want to win races that way. Ty Gibbs, anything he said in that moment was hollow. Anything 100%. He said, it was hollow. You could tell he did not give a fuck. No, he did not try to win the race cleanly. He doesn't care because he doesn't have to. NASCAR's not going to hold him accountable. His team isn't going to hold him accountable. Oh. And
if they wanted to, they can't.
Yeah, that's true. And they can. Joe can hold him fucking accountable. That's what's embarrassing about this.
Well, that's the thing. He's not. He's not. I know. He is Joe Gibbs to a T, because everything Joe Gibbs has said, and he's proven this way before Ty Gibbs was in the picture, that everything Joe Gibbs says is hollow as all hell. I mean, look at how many drivers he's kicked to the curb.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't care. Look at how many teams he's shut down. Joe does not care about anyone. Like, I'm gonna go on a rant here. People say Joe Gibbs is this good, wholesome Christian man who's done so much for this sport. Joe Gibbs is an asshole. He is a fucking asshole. And if you can't realize it by now, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, he does not care. He does not care about you, the fans. He doesn't care about his sponsors. He doesn't care about, he probably cares about his sponsors that give him enough money. He does not care about his drivers. All he cares about is that kid in the 54 car. He's proven that right now. It was about money. There's a saying, it's nothing personal. It's just business. He's taken that to a disgusting level.
Yeah. And Denny Hamlin's tweet said a lot too.
Yeah. Thank you. Or I really wish JD was here. I miss JD is what JD. He said. Yeah. That's your driver. Your star driver after this year.
And again, I'll say it again.
Condemning your grandson.
I'll say it again. Denny should have had some gumption and pulled him out of the car
at Texas, and here
for
again.
That, for this, whatever. Like, I understand putting him in the car initially, and I get that he probably has to toe the company line. But at some point, I mean, here's the thing: Denny Hamlin probably can get away with a little more at Joe Gibbs Racing because FedEx probably won't stick around if Denny's not in the car. Yeah. Which Joe needs sponsors. Clearly, that's what we saw in the Kyle Busch deal. So, I don't know. Denny could probably get away with being a little more ballsy in this.
It's conversation about Denny Hamlin.
I know. I just wanted to call Denny out.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna condemn that. here later on in the show.
Okay.
Because I got my opinions on the man Denny. Ty Gibbs also compared himself to Jesus. Like, that happened. That's real. Like,
yeah, I can't. That's the only thing I'm still kind of in shock about. Like, I knew he felt that way about himself, but I didn't expect to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't read the book. I didn't go to church.
I've read a lot of the book, and nothing about Ty Gibbs is anything like the guy.
I was about to say, I don't think that's him. Like, I don't. You're not that guy, pal.
I'm pretty sure Jesus said verbatim after walking on water and swimming on land, "Thou shalt not wreck thy teammate at Martinsville on the last lap."
I heard that too. I did read that verse.
That's like 1 Corinthians 5 verse 20 or something.
Also, he says he didn't mean to do it. He didn't mean to do it. Not saying that we need any more proof that he definitely did it on purpose. But did you see the front bumper of his car?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That thing was toe up, bro. Like, dude, I can't. I don't know.
Thou shalt not bear false witness, Ty. Thou shalt not bear false witness.
It's just, I don't know, man. I don't see how he wins this championship. I don't see how.
If he does, a whole lot of people pussed out.
That is exactly it. I mean, in the moment, I'm like, Brandon Jones is going to Matt Kenseth his ass. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think Brandon Jones is going to get in the middle of this. But
I could see him doing,
I don't know.
Like, I could see him doing, the most I could see Brandon Jones doing would be like Chase Elliott did to Denny Hamlin at Phoenix a few years ago.
I think Brandon's, a class act. He showed it. He got out of the car and, he wasn't fake about it. He knew and said what happened, but he didn't make a big fuss out of it. He took it to the chin and carried on with it. He knows he's got bigger and better things to do next year. But I mean, Noah Gragson, he told Brandon Jones to go beat his ass.
I mean, I feel like if you're the three guys in junior motorsports running for the title now, you run him over. Because he's gonna do it to you if he gets the chance.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I mean, you hate to be like that, but I mean, I said it a couple months ago. It's getting to the point you can't wait to race guys how they race you. You just have to assume they're going to race you like an asshole.
Well, especially if they've shown in the past they are going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He deserves it. So just do it.
He definitely deserves it. Do you think they should have penalized them, taking the win away? Like, what do you think? Do you think they should have done anything? And if so, what?
If we suspended Bubba Wallace, yeah, they should have done something.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what.
It's not as black and white as Bubba, I guess. But here's the thing. We've talked a lot about this in the show past couple weeks, and it's going to come up later as well. NASCAR has gotten to the point, like I said, they need to rule with an iron fist, and they need to take, plausible, recognition, cause, whatever. I don't to realize, okay, he wrecked the guy. But we're trying to be so black and white, and it's gotten to the point to where if you're so black and white about things, eventually they end up mixing, and you're in a gray area anyway. So you might as well just live in that gray area and rule the sport because it's yours. And NASCAR's not doing that.
And here's the thing, too. Ty was already locked in. So if you wanted to penalize him by making him the last car in the lead lap and taking the win away and giving it to whoever was, Noah, maybe.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, it wouldn't hurt his playoffs, but it would still send a message. Because, well, I know. So the thing is, NASCAR is not going to do anything, more than likely not going to do anything to a playoff driver. So you could, at the very least, send him to the back of the lead lap and take the win away and at least make that statement. Now, genuinely, I think they should suspend him and put in another guy.
Well, here's the thing. They used to put guys on probation.
Yeah.
And they don't do that anymore. Why they don't, I don't know. Here's the thing. Ty Gibbs would have been on probation. Sam Mayer and himself would have been on probation after Martinsville in the spring. Probably till the end of the year. I would imagine. Well, maybe not till the end of the year.
Maybe just 6 months or so.
Yeah. And if that was the case, he definitely would have been suspended at Texas. And then after this, probably would have been suspended again. Or he wouldn't have even done this in the first place because NASCAR set a precedent and, put the fear of God in him.
And that's why the Texas... yeah.
And he wouldn't have done this in the first place. But because you haven't given this dude any sort of consequences for anything, you find him $75,000 or whatever. You really find his grandfather $75,000.
Yeah.
You
probably can make that a tax write-off.
Exactly. So you haven't, there's no consequences for it. So he's just going to keep doing it.
That is why the non-decision at Texas, is what I'm going to call that, was such a disappointment and such a misstep by NASCAR. That was the perfect opportunity for them to say, this is not acceptable. The way you act is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Sit at home for a week or two and think about it.
Dude, everything is a learning experience, apparently, for him.
Yeah.
Kid has not learned a damn thing.
Nope. He is going to be in a rude awakening.
Well, and here's the thing. He's learned it. He just doesn't give a fuck.
He's learned that he can get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's learned. That's the learning experience he's gotten. He's learned that he can get away with it. And that worst thing that's going to happen is they make a charity donation to NASCAR's favorite charity that week.
And here, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. A lot of people some people don't want NASCAR to get involved. They want the garage to police itself. I'm of the opinion that at some point NASCAR doesn't need to get involved, and they should have gotten involved. But at some point, when you've gotten away with it this long, can you really blame Ty?
That was the argument against suspending Bubba too.
Yeah, I mean, can you really blame him?
Yes.
There's going to be no consequences for it. Is he just the one taking advantage of this? It's shitty. It's so shitty. But I mean, honestly,
I understand what you're getting at, but still. But I completely get what you're getting at because it's positive reinforcement of bad behavior. That's exactly what it is. It's parenting 101, and Joe and Coy Gibbs are apparently awful parents, and NASCAR are enablers.
I said this at the beginning of the season. I said, Ty Gibbs is a championship caliber talent. He's not a championship caliber person and racer. And we're about to see if that's really true or not this week.